I have a prepared statement, and then I will be happy to try to answer any questions that I can. University of Evansville soccer player Abby Guerra is alive. 1 week ago today, officials in Arizona reported that the 19-year-old starter for the Lady Aces soccer team had been killed in an automobile accident while en route home from a trip to Disneyland with 4 friends. We have confirmed that Abby did not die in the accident, that somehow she was mistakenly identified as the person who died at the scene. Yesterday, Abby's parents learned that a young woman lying in a hospital bed in Arizona was in fact their daughter, and the parents of the other girl learned that the daughter they thought was hospitalized was in fact deceased. We do not have any information as to why or how this tragic mix-up occurred. This is for the officials in the hospital to communicate. What we can tell you is that our head coach, Krista McKendry, received a phone call yesterday afternoon from a parent of one of Abby's teammates. That family had traveled early to Arizona to be with Abby's family because they were not able to stay for Monday's planned funeral due to a previous commitment. After they arrived and were headed to the Guerra's house, they called and were told by an aunt about what appeared to be unfolding and were told to go to the hospital instead. They were actually with both girls' families when they were given the confirmation that Abby was the hospitalized girl. That parent told us today that Abby was positively identified by a fingerprint record provided by the family. Most of Abby's teammates, along with the 3 University of Evansville women's soccer coaches, as well as senior athletics administrator Sarah Selensky, have arrived in Arizona as previously planned because they were to attend the funeral tomorrow. Now they are there instead to support Abby, her family, and one another. As you can imagine, this continues to be a very emotional roller coaster for everyone involved. Throughout the week, the University of Evansville's chaplains and counselors have assisted both players and coaches, including in these recent hours since they started to receive the startling news about the turn of events. Again, I want to reiterate that information regarding Abby's condition and the details following the accident will have to come from the hospital and officials in Arizona. We can tell you that Abby did undergo surgery, and her condition has been critical all week and continues to be so. Certainly, her family, our girls, and staff appreciate all the care and concern that so many of you have expressed during this past week, and we encourage you to continue those prayers and support because they are needed just as much right now. We at the University of Evansville are all remembering this is still very much a tragedy as Abby fights for her life. 2 of her dear friends, one of whom was identified as being her, have died as a result of the accident. Thank you.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the shock this has caused to students and faculty, everyone that has found out about this, that officials in Arizona could make such a big mistake like this.
I think that the biggest concern at the moment is to going through the roller coaster ride. Certainly they were distraught. They were prepared for a funeral, and all of a sudden they find out that they're not going out there for a funeral, and it's quite a bit different. I know that practically the entire team is out there right now, and they all have gone from high distress to high hopes for the future, but certainly that still remains to be determined. But it no doubt, as I mentioned in my prepared remarks, it's very, very much of a roller coaster situation from an emotional standpoint, and we will continue to have counselors and other people available to those that need it as we go forward.
You were saying some of the team members were with both families when they found out the news, and obviously the other family was praying at the bedside of the wrong girl, hoping that she was still going to make it through and fight for her life. Have you heard anything from the team members and what they said about the other family?
Actually, it was the team members have just arrived today. Their flights, because of the funeral, were scheduled to leave today. And so last night, when we started to hear about this, we chose to have the team members continue to go out. And so they just have been arriving this afternoon. What happened yesterday was that one of the teammates and her parents had gone out there early, and it was just those parents and the teammate who were there when that information was revealed.
Have you spoken to Abby's family at all? And so what did they say?
I have not spoken to Abby's family since the turn of events. However, I had spoken to Abby's mother at length on the telephone earlier in the week, and at the time she was extremely appreciative of all the things that the University of Evansville had done for their family to date. And we have not attempted to make the contact right now because we have Sarah Solinsky and the rest of our team out there to do that. And in light of the unknown circumstances, as they said right now, I felt that may be a little bit intrusive to be making that call.
Can you confirm what they were saying, that she has back and brain injuries and that she is still, like you said, in very, very critical condition?
No, what I would say is that I know that it is, the status is still critical condition, but as far as the details of the exact injury and the extent of those injuries, I think that all still remains to be seen.
And did you say who reported or who told the family that their daughter had passed away?
I think that is something that the Arizona people need, and the hospital sort of need to identify, because I don't believe there's total clarity on it yet.
John, what has been the mind state of the team? Obviously, I know it's been a tragedy this week. First they think that their teammate is dead, now they find out that she's alive. Have you spoken with the players and Coach McHenry at all?
Doug, I talked to Sarah Solinsky as recently as an hour ago, and they are just now arriving. So Sarah and the coaching staff are picking up the team members at the airport as they start to come in. They are going to get together and spend time together talking about it, but I think the general attitude has gone from total despair to some cautious hope that things could turn out better.
And where does the soccer team, the athletic department, go from here? I know they are going to spend some time in Arizona. What's the next step for them, and how do you think this will affect them moving forward?
I think it's difficult to ascertain exactly what will happen. What schedule-wise, they have gone out and for a planned funeral that is not occurring at this point because there's no need for it. Probably it's pretty much going to be a situation where we have to determine what is happening in each given moment. They would be scheduled to return as a team. They would be scheduled to start practice in a week. I would think that that's going to feel like 6 months to them, and there's with all the uncertainty going on, but I would be hopeful that during the time period between now and when they start, that a lot of things will occur to give us some direction that will help make it more comforting for the families and the players and the coaches.
You mentioned earlier this week, John, that this was one of the most difficult things you faced as an athletic director here in your tenure when you first thought that Abby was dead. Talk about how you're feeling right now.
Well, I think that my emotions are probably not different than anybody else who would recognize such a dramatic change. I was shocked to hear about it. I know that there's been precedent to things like this happening before, but overall my personal emotions are just filled with ongoing prayer and hope that Abby will be able to have a recovery. And I would say that when I am sitting around by myself, that's where my thoughts are directed, is the hope that Abby will be able to recover, because she, as we had talked earlier, she's just as much a part of our university family and our team that you couldn't hope for anything different. So, it's emotionally difficult for me, and it's emotionally difficult for the coaching staffs, particularly Krista McKendry, who had recruited Abby and has spent a lot of time with her. But now that there is some hope, we would be cautiously optimistic, but when someone is in critical condition and we don't know all the details of the medical, you have to go forward with caution. But to me, the news that Abby Guerra had not died was, while surprising, something that made me feel like this is great. There's a chance.
Can you talk a little bit about her personality and what made it so special that, you know, so many people pulled together were concerned about her?
I think it's interesting that, you know, for one thing, it just as a university and as a small Division I school, all of our teams and players know each other, and there's a pretty good bond. And as in anything else, there are certain student athletes who can step up and take a leadership role, whether it's from their skill set or from their personality. In Abby's case, as a freshman, she came with quite a few other freshmen. We had a young team last year, quick adapted to the university well, and over that time period, she has become a popular leader that a lot of people like to be around. And she's reasonably outgoing young lady. She has a smile on her face, and just the kind of person that you like being around. She does well in school. She's very skilled athletically as part of the team, and is the kind of person that you just would enjoy being around. And her teammates felt the same way about her.
Anything else you'd like to add that you feel is important?
No, I think that I would once again reiterate that it is, while it's hopeful news, it's still very much a tragedy with what happened overall. There were 5 people in the vehicle, and we have two that have died and 2 that are in critical condition, and one of them, all of them being friends of Abby. So, you know, I certainly have sympathy and sorrow for all the families involved that are going through this as well, but at the same time, very much hopeful that Abby has a chance to recover, and we'll be looking forward to the developments as we go forward, and have my prayers with our coaches, our teammates, and their families, and particularly with Abby right now.